Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. I hope you all are having a lovely day. As you can tell by the title, today we're going to be talking about drugstore powders. You guys really enjoyed one of my recent videos where I talked about my all-time favorite drugstore primers, so I thought today I would talk about powders just because I feel like not a lot of people talk about their favorite powders. It's not the most exciting piece of makeup, but I do feel like it really influences how your makeup is going to look that day, so I think it's important to talk about. And instead of just doing my favorite powders today, I thought I'd do like just a whole showdown of drugstore powders that I've tried. This is the drawer where I keep my powders, so I'm just gonna take one out, talk about it, so on and so forth. So let's just start with pressed powders. So the first one I'm going to talk about, let's start off on a really good note. This is the Rimmel Stay Matte long lasting pressed powder. It just kind of has a cap right here, and I have mine in the shade Creamy Natural. These all are kind of the same shade, whether you get Creamy Natural or translucent or whatever shade, they all kind of look the same on the skin. Sadly they don't have a huge shade range, but I hope they expand that. But they do have a translucent shade that might work for more people. But this right here is my third one maybe. I go through these powders like crazy. It's definitely my favorite pressed powder that I own. My favorite way to use this is just taking a big fluffy brush, kind of dipping in here and going in the cheek area and in the T-zone. This is a great powder. I love taking this in my purse or anything, touch-ups throughout the day, just kind of tapping it on when I get a bit oily or my makeup is looking a little bit worn and stuff from the day. I love putting a bit of this on, and it just fixes the whole makeup situation. It makes any makeup you have under just kind of come together again. It's a really great pressed powder, very inexpensive, and I highly recommend it if you're looking for a very flawless finish. It is matte, but it doesn't look drying on the skin. It has like a very soft finish to it, very velvety, not drying. It looks very flawless on the skin, so I love this, and it's a great drugstore powder. Next pressed powder that I own is from Wet n Wild, and this is the Coverall pressed powder. I don't really have a huge opinion on this. Honestly, I don't use it that much. I don't love the formula on it. It's very powdery, and it looks powdery on the skin, looks drying. I don't even think they sell this anymore, but I thought I'd mention it. I hit pan on it because I used it 1 year for special effects makeup and stuff to really set down, so that's why there's a huge section that shows pan, but for everyday use I don't love this, so I'm just gonna move on from it. Next pressed powder I have is from Wet n Wild, and literally all my powders that are pressed look pretty ratchet because I honestly just throw them in my purses and stuff, take them with me throughout the day to touch my makeup. So this one here is the Wet n Wild Photofocus pressed powder, and it looks really ugly right now because the whole top layer of it smashed, and I just kind of had to take that off, and that's why it looks all weird. But trust me when I say this is an amazing pressed powder if you're looking for one that will look super flawless on the skin, not powdery at all, sets your makeup down beautifully. It looks great under the eyes too, because a lot of the times pressed powders, I don't love them that much for under eyes. I like them more for the skin, but this one looks great all over the skin. It sets under eyes beautifully as well, and it's a great powder from the drugstore. It has a very creamy formula. Very nice texture to it, and I absolutely love it. Again, this is a very inexpensive product, and I have mine in the shade Neutral Buff. This one has a way better shade range. They actually go fairly deep with their shades, and I actually did get a deeper one, and I now use it as a bronzer, so that's a great idea with these powders too. But this one has a beautiful soft formula to it, and I love it. Next I have a powder that's a little less mattifying. Maybe someone with dry skin, or someone that wants a very dewy look to their makeup when they're using powder will love this. And this is the Maybelline Fit Me Set and Smooth. So I know they have a matte and poreless primer, but this is the Set and Smooth one, so it has the purple writing instead of the blue, and it's meant for dry skin. It's supposed to give you that dewy luminous look, and I have mine in the shade 125 Nude Beige. So it says right here it's for normal to dry skin, so Maybelline does have a lot of products and they do categorize them by skin type, but you just get it in this compact right here. And as you can kind of see, I have used quite a bit of this. This is so nice in the winter, especially. If you guys don't know, I do have really dry skin, but my T-zone will get oily in the summer, but in the winter it is dry as the Sahara Desert, so I do need something that won't dry out my skin but will still keep my makeup looking matte throughout the day. So this is what I will reach for. This just sets the makeup beautifully. You know, it's great for touch-ups, of course. You have, you know, the little mirror in here, so great for traveling and on the go with throwing in your purse because you do get that mirror. But the finish on it is like silk. Like literally it has the smoothest silky formula to it. I love it. And again, they have a lot of shades in these as well, which is awesome. If you're looking for like the most velvety looking powder that will still make you kind of have that glow from within still, this is a great one. So you won't be like fully mattifying the skin, but it will still give you the ability to set your makeup and stuff. This one's also great under the eyes. If you tend to not like very heavy powders under the eyes and you want something very light, this is an amazing one to set your under eyes with because it really brightens and kind of smooths everything out, smooths out fine lines or anything like that. So love this. And this is the last pressed powder I have to share with you guys, and this is the Catrice Cosmetics Prime and Fine mattifying powder, and this is the waterproof transparent one. This is such an amazing powder, guys. If you want something that's intense and it's like super mattifying, like will make your makeup stay there all day, this is what you should kind of get into. I have mine in the shade Translucent, and I wouldn't say it really is translucent. Like it does have like quite a bit of white in it, but maybe if you're like fair like me, this is gonna work for you, or if you're a bit deeper than me, just use this like where you like to brighten under the eyes or something. It's great for setting the under eyes, but I do like it more for kind of all over the face or in my T-zone. Again, I will take like a fluffy brush for this to kind of pack it on, and it just looks really nice on the skin. And this is the first like waterproof powder I've seen. I'm not sure if it's waterproof, I haven't tested it for that, but on days when it's really hot out and you know like you're getting oily, you're sweating, everything like that, this is a good one to kind of have on hand and kind of dust all over the face, and it will make your makeup last a lot longer, and I have tested it for that, but not the whole waterproof thing. I think it is a great drugstore powder. Catrice is very inexpensive, and hopefully they do come out in more shades with this. Alright, so moving on to loose powders. I definitely use loose powders more. If I had to pick between loose or pressed, I would use loose more just because I think it sets the makeup a lot better, whereas pressed powders I do like for touch-ups and stuff like that. The first loose powder I have to talk about is the e.l.f. High Definition Under Eye Setting Powder. So this one right here has like the sifter and everything, and you only need a little bit of product just because it is just for your under eyes. And my favorite way to use this is taking a small like tapered brush like this. This is from Real Techniques. I will dip in and just go right underneath the eyes. This is really good on like minimal makeup days when you're not wearing heavy concealers or anything, and this sets them beautifully. It does have a tiny bit of glitter in there, but if you just kind of like tap off your brush, the glitter kind of falls out and then it doesn't translate onto the skin. I don't know why it's in there when you don't see it on the skin at all, but this is great just for very minimal makeup days, or if you're really into like light makeup. This is nice, very inexpensive again, and it doesn't do like the whole like baking or like really pressing powder into the skin. It's just like a nice dusting under the eyes, and it sets, you know, concealers really well. Next powder I'm going to talk about is the Rimmel Match Perfection Loose Silky Face Powder. Now with this one right here, it is a translucent powder and it does have that white finish to it, and the white cast, I don't know, this is not the greatest powder to wear when you're going to be taking pictures, just because it is so white, and you do have to make sure you're blending it out. You can't just press it into the skin or else it will really brighten. If that's what you like, then you might really like this. The formula on this is really finely milled. I do like that about it. Is it my favorite? No. Is it the worst? No. I do still use it, but it's not something I would highly recommend to anyone, so I'm not gonna, you know, talk about it for too long. Next up I have the L'Oreal Infallible Pro Sweep and Lock Translucent Setting Powder. I don't like this at all. I'll just say that off the bat. The first time I used it, I was like, yeah, like it could be good. But now that I've tried it out a few more times, I do not like it. I think you get like barely any product in this. And what I don't like about this is when you're setting the under eyes with this, you'll actually lose some coverage, which I'm not okay with. Either if I use a sponge or a brush, when I'm using this, it just kind of like lifts your product from underneath and brings out those dark spots that we're trying to cover before, so it doesn't really make sense. And the white cast on this is pretty bad, so that's why I don't really like it, and I never really reach for it for that reason. Alright, so the rest of the powders I have to talk about are like my top favorites, so this is the exciting part. So the first one I'm going to talk about is the NYC Smooth Skin Loose Face Powder. This one right here, again, very inexpensive. You do get a lot of product and stuff. And the first time I used this, I absolutely hated it because I used it with a sponge. Do not use this with a sponge. It will not blend nicely into the skin. It won't sink into your makeup or anything. Use it with a brush, again, something like a tapered brush or something to set the under eyes, and it works amazingly. The only thing about this is it's a super messy powder because you just lift this cap and it's just like, yeah, you see what I mean? Exactly. So be careful with this since it is very messy, but other than that, it's a great product, and it sets the makeup again really nicely. I don't actually get flashback with this, even though it's pretty white. Again, it's in the shade Translucent. It just is very smooth on the skin. Next powder I'm going to talk about is an absolute favorite, hands down, of mine. I've been using this powder for years now, and I cannot let go of it. I cannot get onto something new. I just love it so much, and that is the Coty Airspun Loose Face Powder. This is a brand new tub. Can you believe I went through like a whole one of these? That's how much I love it. The best way to use this is with a wet, damp sponge, not with a brush. Using this with a brush will make it look cakey and not blendable and everything like that, but when you press it in with like a wet sponge or something and just press it into the skin, oh my goodness, it looks so good. And this one's in the shade Translucent Extra Coverage. They do have a couple other ones. They have a luminous one, stuff like that. I haven't tried those. This is the only like shade I've tried, and the crazy part is that it actually gives you extra coverage. I'm not kidding you guys. When I apply this over my foundations or anything, I can actually see that extra coverage being built. It kind of has a slight tinge to it, but I don't know what it is. It just brings the best out of your foundation in some way. It makes sure my makeup doesn't crease throughout the day. It sets it down really nicely. This is one of the best powders for baking, hands down. I can put this on, you know, a heavy layer while I'm doing my eye makeup or something, and then when it sweeps off, if I let it kind of sit there and kind of you know, melt into my skin from, you know, my body temperature and stuff, it really does a great job at baking and brightening the skin and giving you that extra coverage, setting everything down, making sure nothing, you know, gets messed up throughout the day, and I highly recommend this. I cannot rave about it enough. The only two things I have to say about this that people might not like is it is pretty messy. Again, it has like one of those lift caps, so when you do close it, powder does kind of explode everywhere, so keep that in mind. And also the smell is very strong on this. Very like florally fragrant smell to it. If that kind of bothers you, make sure you stay away from this, but it does not linger onto the skin. It's just kind of in the air when you're using it, and then it does go away. Just keep those two things in mind. Alright, and the last powder I have to talk about is a new favorite of mine that I've been really loving, and this is the Maybelline Fit Me Loose Finishing Powder. So as much as I love the Fit Me Compact, this is definitely, you know, the next step up, and I love this. I would say my two favorite powders out of everything are these two right here for loose powders, and then Maybelline Stay Matte for press. But anyways, this right here I have in the shade 10, and definitely out of kind of all these loose powders, this one has the best shade selection. You do get a whole bigger range of shades, and this one right here in the shade 10 has a bit of a yellow tinge to it, so now when I'm tan, this works perfectly for me. When I go back to my pale skin, I will have to go a shade down, but it's amazing. I love the packaging. It's very cute. And this one's actually pretty good for not being as messy, I will say that. It has a screw-on cap, so I find that helps when you're like, you know, putting the product back, because it doesn't just kind of fly everywhere. I do like to use this either with a brush or with a sponge, so if you're someone who kind of likes to change up their routine, maybe this is a good one to try out since you're not just stuck with using it with one tool or another. You can kind of use this with anything. I love how it looks when I press it into the skin with a sponge. I love how it looks when I dust it on with a brush. Very nice powder. The formula on this is so finely milled that when you put on the skin, it doesn't look cakey at all. I don't know what's in this, but it's amazing and I love it for my makeup, so I highly recommend this to any of you out there. It keeps my makeup staying in place all day. It makes sure my foundation stuff doesn't creep into my fine lines or smile lines or anything, so that's amazing about it. It sets the under eyes well, it sets the rest of the face well, and I absolutely think this is amazing and one of the best new powders at the drugstore, or best powders in general, so I love that about it. Alright, so that is it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed and hopefully found this video helpful if you were kind of wondering about some drugstore powders, loose powders, and pressed powders. Make sure to request down below what you want to see next in this series where I do like the best at the drugstore type things, so let me know. And also please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and make sure to ring the notification bell so you get notified every single time I upload. But I love you guys so much. Hopefully you are having a fantastic day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys.